This is Anthony Rice, and you're listening to Chasing Dreams with Amy J.
Welcome to Chasing Dreams podcast with Amy J. Amy believes that realizing a life without regrets is achieved by taking chances, chasing your dreams, making moves, and overcoming your doubts. The Chasing Dreams podcast will help you overcome life's obstacles, believe in your potential, and inspire you to face your fears. And now here's the woman who is passionately pursuing her dreams, Amy J.
Hey Dream Chasers, this is Amy J, and you are listening to episode 91, Countdown to 100. How crazy and exciting is this? And I have brought on a friend of mine. We have been friends for many years. It seems like a lifetime ago, really. His name is Anthony Rice. Anthony has been creating art all his life, and for most of that time, the female form has been his muse. After college, Anthony's creative juices turned towards photography. However, the desire to paint and draw the female form never changed. At some point, the bright idea came to combine his muse with the creative desires and his photography. So he combined the two things he loved. So Anthony started to body paint, but with a different twist than your average body painter. Anthony sought to combine the interplay of negative space with splashes of color to make the body into more of a graphic of shapes and curves. The body painting became a starting point for the series he calls Transflections, a digital mix of reflections and transformations that create these otherworldly images. Each image of the series seems to tell a story for the viewer to imagine. The transflections are sometimes grotesque, ornamental, or just a kaleidoscope of imagery. Each image is a unique mix of form, shapes, and color that could never be recreated. He's amazing. He's an artist. He's a photographer. He's a friend, and he's on the show today. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Now, guys, if I slip in and call him Tony, that's my bad. You could also find him as A Rice Photo, so go with it. Any of those forms and names are his. So I'm going to switch to Tony because it just might be strange if I say Anthony the whole time.
That's cool.
How are you, sir? How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Now, you haven't been doing this. I mean, you've been doing photography all your life, but you're also doing something else in the meantime. The way we met, actually, was through your daytime job, right?
Correct, yes. I'm a genius at Apple and fix computers and phones and all the cool technology that Apple's doing. And it's been, 13 years now. So that's what I call my day job.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And I don't think you realize this is before we became colleagues and workers together, because we worked together at Apple, Tony actually fixed my computer during law school. Yes. It's a true story, folks.
That's funny.
Yeah, you have so many people coming in and out. You always remember those lifesavers, and Tony was one of them. You know what I mean, guys? When you have that paper due and somehow your machine has crashed, but you're smart and you listen to the Apple people when they tell you to have Time Machine installed. And it worked, of course, but I had to get the hard drive replaced. And so Tony and his peeps helped me out, got that done. And so in my mind, we've been friends even longer than he knows. But
wow.
See? Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But then
doing this for so long, it's one of those things where I genuinely love doing the helping. Even before I was working with Apple, I was helping people fix their computers and figure out their problems. So, yeah. That's cool. Thank you for telling me that. I really never really would have connected the dots. I
don't think I've ever told you that. Yeah.
No, you hadn't.
All those years, I don't think there you are, for folks, first time telling him that story. True story, nonetheless, but true. But it is what it was. So not only were you and are a photographer, right, and an artist, but you have this background in computers. Was that a natural thing for you?
It's truly natural because I I started with computers in '95. Turning on my first computer was a old Mac Classic, and I knew nothing at all. I mean, I dreamed about having a computer, and I could do so much with a computer, and it took a long time for me because I kind of missed the whole computer thing coming up through school and college.
Mm-hmm.
Like a year after I graduated college, that's when they got the big computer art department, and it was like, oh, I missed it. So it's been sort of like sit down and teach yourself, figure it out for yourself kind of a deal. And it just seems to click. I mean, things just come to me, and, I think back, and I put up my first website in 96. And for some reason, I just did it myself. And I'm like, whatever possessed me to just go and say, hey, I can do this. And
yeah, what did possess you? Because, I mean, it's not like there was, hey, creating websites for dummies.
Correct.
That early on.
Yeah, I think that's one of my superpowers, is that when I get focused on something, I just keep at it until I figure it out. And there's a bright moment where the light bulb comes on and things just start making sense, and it goes from there. And when I think about it, it goes all the way back to art. Being the first, picking up the pencil for the first time, or the paintbrush for the first time, and things just sort of clicked with me. So, if I had a superpower, it would be just that natural kind of instinctive, figure it out in my head and just do it, without, somebody telling me, oh, this is what you need to do.
Well, so then for clarity, did you ever get a formal degree in computers?
No. My background is all art. I got a bachelor's degree at Bowie State University, and that's no computers. It's just me sitting at the computer until 4:00 in the morning trying to figure something out.
But guys, trust me, you want him fixing your Mac if it's anything. You want him fixing your Mac. But Tony, even though you didn't get any formal education there, your background is there, you still consider that your day job. Why is that? Well,
I think one of the things that as an artist is, you get to a point where you like having that money, you like having that roof over your head, and, art takes a long time to really be able to live off of it. It's the kind of a thing, well, what have you sold lately? Where's your next meal coming from? And, just having that day job, I guess it's sort of a safety net. It's something that I can count on, and it kind of relieves that part of that tension. If that makes any sense?
It does. And I think, a lot of people do it the opposite way, right? Where they use it at night. And I think day job, everyone's so quick to say, it's in the daytime. It is what it is. That's the main thing. But for you, actually, your joy is in photography.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And so you've been doing this for a while. Even after college, you were doing this. At what point, because some people will see it and are like, hey, this isn't lucrative. I should stop. Or, hey, there's another direction. Art has so many different angles and perspectives. Maybe I should change it. Have you ever gone through that and thought, I should change the medium I'm doing?
No, I think it was more, I'm doing this, whether the world likes it or not, I'm going to continue doing this, keep the ship going straight and, focus on me, what I do, the final result, when you see that image and you look at it and it's on the wall and you go, wow, okay, that came out really nice. I think that is the reward from me, whether I'm, in the paper or the news, that's secondary, or maybe even, 3 steps out, but it's always been just the love of the art of creation.
Well, okay, so that's not a common thing. Mm-hmm. That I'm doing it for the love of creation. That is not necessarily a common feeling that people have. Was that something you grew into, or something you've always just naturally had?
I think it's always been there. As a kid or doing my first painting, it was that moment of picking up the brush and painting and going, wow, that came out really good. I like that. Let me do it again. And I was very fortunate to have parents that really kind of pushed me to do. My mother always said, I don't care if you're, a construction worker or a nuclear physicist, but be happy and do the best you can. And I took that and just ran with it.
And you're happy, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, life is always full of ups and downs. And I feel like you can't appreciate the ups unless you've had some downs.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. You never know. You can't appreciate a nice sunny day if you've never been through a rainy storm, or vice versa, because I love storms, but that's a different thing.
No, but that's a very great point. I mean, if you're always used to one thing, you're not going to appreciate it. You tend to take it for granted sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You're always having it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So now that you've had time to explore your artistry, right, with Transflections and other things, is this the medium you've settled on as your signature?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense of I think that's what I'm known for. Mm-hmm. That's something I'll always do. But in the back of my head, there's ideas for sculptures. There's ideas for drawing. I call it the Leonardo da Vinci effect, where you've got your hands doing all different types of things. And yes, you're known for a certain thing, but you still have your notebook with all these other ideas that, if life was perfect and you could live forever, you would have time enough to do everything. But yeah, the Leonardo effect. Well,
so because of that, right? One of the things I've always wondered, I love that you're not settling, on one thing necessarily, but you're known for it, of course. But is there something upcoming? And I'm not as versed in the area of art as some of my family members and friends. But is there how do you describe it? Is there a technique or something you're excited to try or test that's new?
Well, I've been thinking in the back of my head with the people call them kaleidoscopes or medallias. They're these intricate designs. My idea is to figure out some way of doing animation to where I can morph these images and have it change and kind of be a three-dimensional type thing.
Oh, that's cool.
But I'm not there yet. There's still a lot to learn. I've been doing some research, but I think that's where my future is headed. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I'm not there yet. Well, I haven't really said this is it. I'm still getting a lot of satisfaction out of just a two-dimensional image, and I'm cool with that for right now. But that's where I think the future is going to be.
What's interesting is you said you did research. You've been studying and looking into things. What does that mean for an artist? And for those listening, this isn't. I just don't know. So if you know, good on you. For those who don't know, learn with me right now. What does that mean to learn art? Do you take classes? Do you read a book or read?
Well, I think it's all of the above. Gathering information, getting ideas. Recently just went down to the Hirshhorn Museum and checked out a show and came out of that going, wow, I could do this, I could do that. Wow, this is going to move me in this direction. I kind of think that, we all get inspiration from the littlest things. I could be watching TV or see a video, on YouTube and be taken in another direction. We live in a world now where there's so much stimulus or stimuli that you can get kind of overwhelmed by it, but you can also learn things from it and get redirected. So, when I say do study, I'm looking at everything. I'm watching everything. I'm reading. Playing with the computer. It's all of the above.
Well, when you say all of the above, so it's all these different things. You wouldn't, I guess, cut out then, having said it that way, taking classes or a semester somewhere, or kind of professional or I don't want to say professional, but formal education? Is that something that artists still do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, after I got out of college, developing my photography, I took courses at the community college on lighting, studio lighting. That is an avenue of information that you got to pursue if you need it. You got to go get it. And that's one way of doing it. Now we have like lynda.com and all those kind of things.
Does lynda.com have art stuff?
Photography. Oh my goodness. Yes. Big time.
Heard it here first, guys, or Google, but yeah. I had no idea. I thought it was just programming and technical stuff. I guess photography makes sense.
Yeah. Wedding photography, basic portrait type stuff, lighting, they have all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, is there now I'm intrigued. There's art on lynda.com and just different places. Is there something that you were fascinated to learn about that previously that you didn't know?
Not really. It's one of those things where I think you kind of get that inspiration because the way my mind works is when I come up with a project, I am like tunnel vision on that project. And whatever I need to learn for that project, I learn it and I keep on going. And then when it's done, I move on. So like, for example, with studio lighting, I wanted to learn that and what are the best means that I can get this information. Well, back in the day before lynda.com, it was go to the community college, take a course, practice, do portraits, do that kind of stuff. Now we have all this technology and everything, and it's just find that dream and you get a list of things that you need to do to accomplish that. And then you just go for it. You just, tunnel vision and just attack it. Keep on going.
Well, that's awesome. So can we talk a little bit about how do you get a muse? Because I love the fact that you have one. And I've always heard about muse. What is a muse? And for those who may be interested in art, have heard of it, but don't really understand what it is.
Well, I think that a muse is something that sparks your brain, gives you that light bulb. You look at it, it can be, like for me, it's the female form. I look at that and, my artistic motivations start bubbling and, I want to either grab a camera or grab a brush or a pencil or something and just kind of take it to the next step. But muse can be anything. Sometimes people get inspirations from reading books or, watching movies. It's that light bulb that comes on and starts you on that path of creation.
So there's no one way to get a muse. From what you're saying, we should be doing what you said earlier in the show, which is, kind of gaining the inspiration, absorbing experiences, that kind of a thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Is there any guidance you would give? Let's say if someone came to you as looking for a mentor and they were trying to figure out how to get started in this world of creation and they're not sure. They want to be an artist. They want to be creative, right? What would you recommend to them?
Just do it. They sit down and, if it's learn how to draw, people always tell me, oh, I don't know how to draw. Well, when you think about it, learning to write, learning cursive. Well, how many years it took you to learn cursive? Do they even teach that anymore?
I was going to say, wait.
I don't know. I think I'm showing my age here.
I'm with you, Tony. I'm with you.
It's like you take this time and you learn how to go between the three lines and you practice your marks and
that's right, guys. It's not just the font on the computer, okay? We used to have to do it by hand.
Exactly. Yeah. But you take that time and you learn it and then you practice it and then you do it over and over again. And then, by the third grade, it's like, oh, wow, okay, writing cursive and boom, there it is. I think drawing is the same way. You start out with stick figures and you get a little bit more refined and you begin to develop your hand and eye coordination. And then things progress. And just like with playing the piano, you start out with the little Mary Had a Little Lamb, and then you go all the way up to the big time. But it's always practice, practice, practice. And I think that's just with anything that you love or want to do. You gotta put the time in, and it can be computers too. If people tell me all the time, well, I'm computer illiterate. Well, how much time do you spend at the computer? Oh, 10 minutes. Well, you're not gonna grasp that thing. You'll learn something. Yeah, you can probably learn it, but if you don't do that repetitive over and over again, it goes away. And that's with art. That's with everything. You got to do it. If that's something that's important to you, you got to put the time in.
Well, when you said refine earlier, and you go from stick figures, you build the hand-eye coordination, you refine. How do you do that? Like, how do you refine? Is that more education, more find books, find other people to kind of help you?
Oh yeah. I mean, taking classes, doing the sitting out in the live drawings, and just trying to make that piece of paper look like what you're seeing. It's just doing it.
I think that's going to be the title of the episode. Just do it. This episode has not been sponsored by Nike, by the way.
Yeah.
It's been sponsored by A Rice Photo.
Yeah.
So, Tony, is there anything that we can start looking forward to coming up for you, and anything you're working on?
Well, right now I've kind of started focusing on social media. I've always had a presence. One of the things that I did as I guess they call it now, building my brand, is every site that you go on, my A Rice Photo is there. I think now I've been doing research and trying to build the brand out. My ideal focus, or I don't know what you'd call it, is to get the name out there, to build that brand, to really start getting some accolades for what I've been doing. There's so much competition out there, especially with photography. Everybody with a digital camera, is a photographer, and they're putting out their websites and their Instagrams, and I look at that as the next step. Get that name recognition, get that brand going.
Now that's just to be clear. That's not, because earlier you're doing it. So overall, you're still doing it for the love of the art.
Correct.
Right.
This is, if Instagram went away or Facebook went away, that wouldn't change anything that I do.
Right.
Right now, I'm adding the next phase for that. It's like not Leonardo, Van Gogh.
Mm-hmm.
I think he only sold like one painting in his lifetime. I don't want to be Van Gogh. I want to enjoy some of this stuff. So I think that the next step is to get out there, have that name recognition, and be that trending artist. Which
is awesome, and no one says that you have to starve or be the hidden popular person, which was like an oxymoron just then, but like that silent, no one knows, unknown artist. But it's interesting is that you want to do that you want to build up the social media. Oftentimes I've heard some people will outsource that kind of thing. I mean,
yeah, I've never been one to outsource.
That's not surprising.
From doing my own web design to, just learning, how to do the photography. It's always been something that I would just do myself. So it's takes a little bit of a learning curve. Yeah. And I'm definitely still learning, but I think that's part of they say it's not the destination, but the path. And
what was that again? Say that once more.
It's not the destination, but the path.
You guys hear that? I had him say it twice. Because it's true. Sometimes we're so focused on the journey, we forget, so focused on the destination. This is why I had you say it. Yeah. So focused on the destination, we forget about the path. We forget about the journey that we're on. And it's not sad, but I think people often miss out on things. It could be better than what you're experiencing if you kind of allow yourself to live in that moment, right? One of my pet peeves is when you go to a concert and everybody has the cell phones recording. Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, guys, are you enjoying? Are you so focused on capturing the moment that you don't get to live in the moment?
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that sounds kind of like what you're saying, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think in this day and age, we're getting hit by so many angles of technology and
information
information overload.
Yes.
And if you don't take a moment to kind of stop and just kind of and smell the roses, so to speak, that you miss out. You know?
It's almost cyclical, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
I feel there was a point where people were like, we have to keep going at this. We have to keep doing it just so we can get to the moment to enjoy. And then when you get there, they're like, I wish I had enjoyed the moment while I was having it. And then you've generated a new generation of people who want to enjoy that. And then, it's a cycle. Everything's a cycle, it feels like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's, for example, using your example of the concert,
mm-hmm.
Can you enjoy that concert looking at your phone, the little movie on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the experience of feeling that bass drum hit you in the chest as, the pounding of the rhythms and everything, which is what you want to remember, that's the way I look at it. I'd rather have that total immersion with the concert as opposed to just viewing it just with the eye on the little device.
Right. I'm with you, Tony. I am. Now, as an artist, what is your stance on collaborations?
I think that's one of the greatest opportunities to get inspiration and change your path. One of the things that has helped me is, like, for me, doing the body painting, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. It's me, it's the camera, and it's the model, and collaboration with the model. I could sit there and paint up a model, but if the model stands there like a stick figure and doesn't move, well, my art is kind of limited.
It's flat, yeah.
But if the model is, doing yoga poses and, being expressive and posing, then that makes what I do infinitely better. I've worked with, I don't even know how many models over the years. And there have definitely been a few that have just, pushed the whole art into another realm. And it's those moments that, everything is clicking, the result is so much better than not collaborating. So I'm all for it. It's the beauty of collaboration is that you're bringing in another set of knowledge, another set of talent, and that you may not have been able to tap into. So by having that collaborative effort, it makes everything better. Yeah.
Have you ever, outside of your models, collaborated?
I've not really. For me, my art, it's always been the collaboration with the model, or I take that back. I worked with another photographer. This was way back in the day. I just remembered this. I did a body painting. Another photographer actually did the work, taking the pictures, and it was for some kind of an event or something. That's 2 minds coming together, or 3 minds coming together. But for the most part, for what I do, it's usually the collaboration with the model in front of me.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, because it sounds like there are different ways to collaborate. So not just your model, you had a way where multiple photographers collaborated for it. So,
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, often I didn't even think about that. Oftentimes we're so focused on one version of collaboration, we forget that there are others out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then every photographer is going to have a different eye, so that just adds to that mix.
Now, Tony, before we wrap up, because one of the things we do, if you, and I know you've listened to the episode, you should be ready for this. What is one thing you would recommend to a dream chaser that they should do today? And I'm going to say it can't be the sponsor of the show, Nike.
I think when you have an idea of what you want or a dream that you want, you have to be true to that. You have to kind of, get that tunnel vision, lay out the groundwork of, well, this is what I want. And these are the tools and the information I need to get that. And then I think the big thing is to remember that it's a moving target. Life is changing day to day. Things change. And as we grow as people or artists or whatnot, allow that dream to shift and morph into whatever it needs to be.
That's simple yet profound, guys. Oh yeah, that's very deep. I think we often don't allow ourselves that or give ourselves permission for that. And it's a shame sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, have you ever faced that where you fought it?
I think back in the day when before I came to Apple, I worked at a photo lab, and I loved that idea. I was doing photo retouching all day, but deep down, I knew this was about the time when digital was making strides, and I felt like this was a note. There was an end in sight, and in the time that since I left that whole industry, digital has just decimated. There used to be photo labs and photo stores all over the place, but now there's a few labs around, but it's not like it was back in the 90s. So it's kind of those, you gotta keep moving on. Well,
guys, you guys can also keep moving on, but you definitely need to move on over to the show notes page to check out Tony and his work. His social media websites are all there. And as you know, he's working on the social media. So definitely sign up, be his friend, and you'll find out as things are being updated. Am I right, Tony?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to come onto the show and share your knowledge and background. You are fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Dream Chasers, that was my friend, Anthony Rice. You got to check out his art. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. He's done a stunning job. It's definitely something I couldn't do for sure. And so you can find all of the links to his social media, his website over on the show notes page at chasingdreamshq.com/episode 91. That's episode 91. Until next time, Dream Chasers, keep chasing.
Thank you so much for listening to Chasing Dreams. Amy would love to connect with you and hear all about your pursuit of chasing your dreams. Connect with her on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram via @ChasingDreamsHQ. Or you can find Amy on Twitter @AmyJ21. That's AIMEEJ21. Be sure to visit headquarters over at ChasingDreamsHQ.com for more inspiration, motivation, and resources to help with your own dream chase. We hope you'll join Amy next week, and until then, keep chasing.